What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, your man, Stu. Back at it with another review, and today we are continuing our Jurassic review series, and today we are going to be reviewing Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. But before we get sexual, beginning of the review itself, guys, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, because number one, it's absolutely free, number two, also maybe help with the YouTube algorithm, and I recommend the video to more people, and maybe they could join. And be feel free to comment your thoughts on Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom down below. With that being said, guys, let's go into before we go into as well, if you're confused what the Jurassic review series is, it's the 3 Jurassic Park movies and the 3 Jurassic World movies. All of this will be climaxing in a big ranking I have planned on Saturday, which will also not Saturday, Thursday. Which will include all the Jurassic movies ranked, including the new one, Jurassic World Rebirth. But before we get into actual beginning of the review itself, guys, let's give a quick plot synopsis, shall we? So transition to the media.
3 years after the destruction of the Jurassic World theme park, Owen Grady and Claire Dearing return to the island of Isla Nublar to save the remaining dinosaurs from a volcano that's about to erupt. They soon encounter terrifying new breeds of gigantic dinosaurs while uncovering a conspiracy that threatens the entire planet.
So with Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, besides for the first Jurassic Park film, the film that I do love in this franchise, along with that original film, is the first Jurassic World, which was actually my first ever Jurassic movie I got to see in theaters. And then with Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I was excited to check it out when it came out in theaters around when I was, I think, 12, 13 possibly. So I was excited to check it out, and I had a fun time with Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom when I was younger after seeing it in theaters. But over time, I've started to see the flaws with the movie as time has went by, and I've started to like the movie even less. So, and for my last Jurassic ranking that I did, this was actually, I believe, last place. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's either that or The Lost World. So, no. Yes, it's that, I think. I'm pretty sure. So, let's see if my thoughts change on the film or if they're still the same. Alright, so starting off with the good for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I have the biggest positive right here, and that is some of the horror-esque sequences that you get later on in the film with the main
Dinosaur villain you have in here, that of course being the Indoraptor. There's one scene in a bedroom that I thought was very, very well directed, and I think easily the most horror-esque scene, dare I say, in the whole entire Jurassic franchise.
There are, as well, some pretty high moments in this film that I don't think the rest of the film very much lives up to, which brings me to my next positive of the movie. It is the Brachiosaurus scene that you have in here. So, in the last film, you, of course, had the Brachiosaurus sequence. Again, they love killing Brachiosaurus for some reason. But after they were all taken out by the Indominus Rex, which, though, that was definitely an impactful scene for sure. But in here, they do it even more so with a very, very tragic scene in here with the Brachiosaurus getting left behind. And that was definitely a very sad sequence that the music, the actual CGI for the scene, and everything was actually executed pretty perfectly for that scene, even though it's hard to watch, you know. Another positive in here, I think Blue's character arc is actually pretty solid in here. So, of course, we had her pop up in the first Jurassic World,
where she was actually the only surviving raptor left at the end of that movie when she teamed up with the T-Rex against the Indominus. And here you get to explore her friendship with Owen a little bit more with some flashback sequences that I think certainly added to her and Owen's character.
As for the final positive, I do think that there is an interesting debate in this whole entire movie where you have a debate between certain people and then other people about whether the dinosaurs should be left to die on the island, or should they be should they be to brought to the US of A, or brought to society to live among us. I thought that was a very, very interesting debate that you had in this film. That certainly would be a debate that happened in real life if the dinosaurs were alive among us. So that added for a very interesting conversation in there, because you're going, which one would I do in that certain case? So I thought that added for an interesting debate throughout the whole entire film. But that is the good done. Now let's move on to the mixed aspects. Number one thing in here I have is Maisie as a character. So, I think she is very likable in this film, unlike a film we're about to talk about after this. But I think she is likable in this film. You want her to survive, and she's a very cute girl that you want to survive. However, they have this thing about her, which I'll talk about this a little bit later on, that makes me turn off and go, I don't like that with her character. No, I am not a fan of that direction that they went. So I'll talk about that a little bit later on, because that's one of my negatives. But yes, another mixed I have is the Indoraptor as a villain. While the presentation of
it was cool, and it looks very, very cool, it ended up just feeling as if it was just a copycat of the Indominus Rex from the first Jurassic World. Along with that, it felt anticlimactic in the final act with how its character ends up being.
You do have two new side characters as well that are introduced in here, that of course being Zia and Franklin. I'm pretty sure that's what the guy's name is, right? Anyways, but there are two new side characters that are with Owen and Claire on the island, which I think I like them because they're just distinct personalities between each other. However, they don't serve much of a purpose for the whole entire film, really. So that's one of my mixed aspects. And then another mixed I have is the ending of the film. Now, if you would have asked me before what I originally thought, I thought the ending was great. The way they leave off for this film, I think, is a good way to leave off. However, there's something that happens that I'll talk about a little bit later on as well in the bad, that totally derails the ending for me, where even though I think it's cool direction to go for the next film, which surely they're not going to focus on locusts, are they? I still thought that the way we got there was a little bit iffy. Anyways, now, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to the bad. And the first one I have is the mystery and reveal with Maisie. So I already talked about Maisie as a character. I'm not going to go too in-depth.
Because spoilers, but why the direction that they chose? Why? On top of that, the mystery itself isn't really interesting. I didn't care about this whole entire reveal. I just wanted to follow Owen, Claire, and Blue, but they decided not to.
I just did not enjoy that reveal at all. I thought it did not need to be in the Jurassic franchise, even though logically it would make sense if they were able to bring dinosaurs back to life, but still, not a fan of that reveal in the Jurassic franchise. Another bad in here, the human villain. I can't even remember his name. But he is pretty much neck and neck with the main bad guy of The Lost World for worst human villain of the whole entire franchise. I do think that he has a little more of a presence throughout the film compared to the other guy in The Lost World, but still not a good villain. Another negative that I had with the original Jurassic World as well is there's too much fan servicey moments in here. And even in here, it's even more so. Because in the first film, there were some moments where I was going, oh, that's cool, mainly with the final act of the film. However, in here, it just felt too forced. Even more forced than the first Jurassic World, where I was just going, you're just trying to get extra positive reviews with the fan servicey moments, aren't you? Negative as well, Jeff Goldblum is not in this film a whole lot, which from the trailers, they were teasing that he was going to be in this film a lot. No, he is not. He's just in a couple of scenes at the beginning and at the end. He's just in one scene at the beginning and one at the end, not multiple scenes. Sorry, I apologize. And then the final bad I have in here is the weak plot. Because I already mentioned that the ending is cool. However, the plot makes the ending a little bit odd, of a mixed bag, because the plot of the movie feels as if it's just trying to get away with the whole entire ending. That's what it's just all building up to the ending instead of having an actual cohesive story. So that's what really bugged me about this most recent rewatch with Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom that I didn't even realize before. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, let's bring out the toxic detail. This gets a toxic disappointment for me, a C-. I still think it's watchable, and I would much rather rewatch this than The Lost World, but I do think, spoilers for my ranking coming out on Thursday, I still think that, however, this is a worse movie than The Lost World, even though I would much rather rewatch this film than that film. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's just my thoughts on Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on this film down below. And stay tuned for my Jurassic World Dominion review. And I'm actually seeing Jurassic World The Rebirth tonight, so stay tuned for my out-of-theater reaction later tonight as well. But with that being said, guys, I'll see y'all next time, everybody. Peace.